A few hours ago, popular car YouTuber Matt Armstrong shared an update that surprised a lot of his followers, especially those who have been closely watching his Ferrari 296 rebuild series. This is not just any normal car project. This is a rebuild that has already gained millions of views and has become one of the most talked about automotive stories online. The reason is simple. This Ferrari was once declared unrepairable by Ferrari itself. According to the company, the damage was too serious, and the car should not go back on the road again. But Matt decided to challenge that idea. He bought the damaged car, brought it into his workshop, and started rebuilding it step by step. People from all over the world started watching because they wanted to see if he could really do the impossible. Everything was going well, and the project was moving forward. But now, suddenly, everything has stopped. The rebuild is officially on hold. And the most surprising part is that it is not because of money, not because of lack of skills, and not even because of the damage. The real reason is that Ferrari has not delivered the parts needed to continue the rebuild. This has created a lot of questions in the minds of viewers. How can a company as big and powerful as Ferrari delay parts like this? Why would they slow down a project that is clearly getting so much attention? And what does this mean for Matt and his rebuild? These questions are now being discussed everywhere, and many people are trying to understand what is really happening behind the scenes. The situation may look simple on the surface, but when you think about it more deeply, it reveals a much bigger issue in the world of exotic cars and how these companies control their vehicles even after they are sold. To understand why the situation is so important, we need to go back to the beginning of the story and look at how this Ferrari 296 project started. This car was not bought from a showroom in perfect condition. Instead, it was a crashed vehicle that had already been written off by insurance companies. In simple words, it was considered a total loss. Normally, cars like this are either scrapped or used for parts. But Matt Armstrong saw something different. He saw a challenge and an opportunity. He believed that even though Ferrari had said the car could not be repaired, there was still a chance to bring it back to life. This is what made the project so exciting. From the very beginning, Matt faced difficulties. Ferrari was not willing to support the rebuild. They did not want to provide parts or technical help because they believed the car should not be repaired at all. This made the project even harder, but it also made it more interesting for viewers. People wanted to see if one independent builder could prove a global brand wrong. As the rebuild progressed, Matt showed every step in detail. He explained the damage, showed the repair work, and slowly brought the car closer to life again. Each video gained more views, and more people started talking about it. It was not just about fixing a car anymore. It became a story about determination, skill, and proving that something considered impossible could actually be done. But now, just when the project was reaching an important stage, everything has stopped because of missing parts. This sudden pause has raised serious concerns about how much control car manufacturers have over their vehicles and whether independent builders truly have the freedom to repair what they own. The main issue in this situation is the supply of parts, and this is where things become more complicated than they seem. When you own a normal car, getting spare parts is usually not very difficult. You can order them from different suppliers, visit local markets, or even buy used parts if needed. But when it comes to exotic cars like Ferrari, the situation is completely different. Ferrari controls almost every part of the supply chain. This means they decide who can buy parts, when they can buy them, and how much they will cost. There are very few third-party companies that make parts for such cars, especially for newer models like the Ferrari 296, which also includes advanced hybrid technology. Because of this, if you need an original part, you often have no choice but to get it directly from Ferrari. This gives the company a lot of power. In Matt's case, even though he is ready to pay for the parts, he still has to wait for Ferrari to deliver them, and there is no clear timeline. It could take weeks or even months. This delay has completely stopped the progress of the rebuild. The car is sitting in the workshop, taken apart, waiting for parts that may arrive soon or may take a long time. This is not just frustrating for Matt, but also for the millions of viewers who are following the project. It also shows a bigger problem in the industry. When companies control parts like this, they also control repairs. And this raises an important question. Do you really own your car if you cannot repair it freely? To fully grasp why Matt Armstrong's Ferrari rebuild is on hold, it helps to understand Ferrari's corporate approach and how it treats independent rebuilders. Ferrari is a company worth billions, known for its strict control over everything from manufacturing to sales to service. When someone buys a new Ferrari, the company wants that car to be serviced exclusively through authorized dealerships and service centers. This ensures that the car maintains Ferrari's high standards, and the company can monitor quality, brand image, and safety. However, when a car like Matt's comes along, a salvage crash vehicle that an independent builder wants to repair, the company has very little incentive to make it easy. In fact, Matt is doing something Ferrari does not want to encourage. He is proving that even a severely damaged car can be repaired and made roadworthy again. This challenges the company's narrative that certain crashes make their cars unrepairable and demonstrates the strength of their engineering when handled correctly. Ferrari's reluctance to deliver parts is part of a broader system that controls repairs. Independent rebuilders are always at the bottom of the priority list. If a dealership needs a part for a warranty repair, that order goes first. If a regular customer needs parts to fix minor damage, that order comes next. Only after all of these orders are satisfied might an independent builder receive the parts they need. For Matt, this means that his rebuild is essentially paused indefinitely, not because he lacks the skill or resources, but because Ferrari decides that supplying parts is not urgent. This delay has created a situation where the car sits frozen in the workshop, the engine exposed, the hood removed, and hundreds of components scattered around the workspace. While it is clear to anyone looking at the project that the rebuild can continue, the bottleneck is not mechanical. It is corporate. This type of control may seem frustrating to enthusiasts, but it is a strategic choice by Ferrari to maintain brand exclusivity and authority over who can repair or restore their vehicles. For viewers, this is more than just a rebuild delay. It's a glimpse into the reality of the exotic car world and the challenges faced by those who try to work outside the official system. The story becomes even more compelling when you consider the stakes involved with this specific Ferrari 296. This is not just a normal Ferrari model. It is a hybrid hypercar that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hybrid components, advanced electronics, and specialized carbon fiber body panels make this car extremely complex. When a vehicle of this type is damaged, sourcing parts is not like ordering a replacement fender from a local supplier. Each component may be custom-made, expensive, and only available through Ferrari. For example, a carbon fiber front bumper or nose cone may cost tens of thousands of dollars, not to mention the hybrid system components like the battery and electric motor modules, which are impossible to replace without the manufacturer's direct support. This means that even if Matt has the technical knowledge, tools, and willingness to pay, he is entirely dependent on Ferrari's decision-making process. This dependency highlights a much larger problem in the exotic car industry. The so-called right to repair does not exist for these vehicles. While ordinary car owners can usually fix their cars independently, rebuilders of high-end exotics face enormous obstacles. Salvaged Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens, and other hypercars often sit in garages or storage facilities for months or years, not because repair is impossible, but because obtaining parts is nearly impossible. This lack of access increases frustration, delays content creation, and adds financial strain for rebuilders like Matt. Every day that the Ferrari 296 sits idle, Matt loses time that could be spent filming content, progressing the rebuild, or even preparing the car for sale once completed. In addition, delays make it harder to maintain momentum on the project. A car that has been frozen for months may require refamiliarization with the work, additional prep, and reorganization of the workshop space before progress can resume. From the perspective of a viewer or automotive enthusiast, this is frustrating to watch, but it also reveals the power imbalance between individual builders and global car manufacturers. Ferrari's ability to delay parts, while still profiting from their sale, ensures that rebuilders remain dependent on the company, reinforcing control over the vehicle's destiny and over the rebuilder's time, effort, and resources. Matt Armstrong's situation also exposes the wider hypocrisy in how exotic car manufacturers handle repair policies. When Ferrari first saw the damage to the 296, their position was clear. The car should be written off, scrapped, and removed from circulation. They refused to provide support or parts, and essentially told Matt that no rebuild should occur. From Ferrari's perspective, This decision may have been about risk management or brand protection, but it also created a dramatic scenario for enthusiasts and viewers alike. Matt, refusing to accept that no as an answer, started sourcing parts independently, working with specialists, and documenting the process for millions of people online. Every step of the rebuild contradicted Ferrari's claim that the car could not be repaired. The car was slowly coming back to life, proving that their unrepairable statement was, at least in Matt's case, false. However, now that the rebuild is almost within reach, Ferrari's strategy has shifted rather than disappeared. Instead of outright refusing to sell parts, the company is creating delays. This may seem like a minor difference, but the effect is nearly identical. Matt cannot proceed until Ferrari decides to fulfill his orders. By delaying parts delivery rather than denying it entirely, Ferrari maintains plausible deniability. They can claim that they are experiencing logistical or supply chain issues while still exercising control over the rebuild. This approach allows Ferrari to maintain brand image and exclusivity without engaging in a public battle over ethics or rights. For the automotive community watching the rebuild, the frustration is tangible. Matt's 296 is in pieces, yet the problem is not mechanical or financial. It is corporate. This creates tension for both the builder and the audience. Every update, every Instagram post, and every video becomes more dramatic because the rebuild is frozen in place, waiting for a decision that may be out of Matt's hands. While this dynamic may seem unique to Matt Armstrong, it actually reflects a broader trend in the exotic car world. Independent builders are routinely placed at the mercy of manufacturers when attempting to repair or restore salvage vehicles. This has long-term implications for right-to-repair discussions, content creation, and the economics of rebuilding high-end cars. Another important aspect of Matt Armstrong's Ferrari rebuild story is the financial and opportunity costs involved. Every day that the 296 sits in pieces represents lost time and potential revenue. Matt is not only a car builder, he is also a content creator whose videos generate income through views, sponsorships, and collaborations. While the Ferrari is frozen, he cannot film progress videos for this project, and that means he is missing out on an opportunity to engage millions of viewers who are eagerly following the rebuild. Additionally, the workshop space itself becomes a bottleneck. Exotic cars require careful handling and large amounts of space to work on safely. When one car is stalled, it takes up room that could be used for other projects, whether they are rebuilds, restorations, or custom builds. This creates a ripple effect, slowing down other projects and potentially delaying other content creation efforts. Beyond the immediate workshop concerns, there are also long-term considerations. Maintaining parts, tools, and temporary fixes for an unfinished rebuild requires ongoing attention. Components may degrade or need to be rechecked if a project sits idle for months. The hybrid systems in the Ferrari 296, for example, are extremely sensitive and require careful handling. Leaving these systems idle without completing the rebuild could result in additional work or even risk of damage. In essence, the parts delay is not just an inconvenience. It has real consequences for both the car and Matt's business operations. Furthermore, the frustration and uncertainty can affect planning, mental focus, and workflow efficiency. For rebuilders like Matt, the unpredictability of exotic parts availability forces them to constantly adapt and prioritize projects that are not dependent on external suppliers. This is why independent builders often juggle multiple cars at once, switching focus when one project is blocked. The Ferrari rebuild's pause demonstrates how a single missing part can create a domino effect, impacting time management, financial planning, and even creative output. For viewers, this adds drama and suspense. But behind the scenes, it also highlights the significant challenges faced by anyone attempting to rebuild or repair exotic vehicles without full manufacturer support. The technical challenges of the Ferrari 296 rebuild also play a major role in understanding the situation. This car is not like an ordinary vehicle where standard parts and repair methods apply. The Ferrari 296 is a plug-in hybrid hypercar with a combination of a V6 engine, electric motors, complex battery systems, and advanced carbon fiber body panels. Each of these components requires specialized knowledge and careful handling. Matt Armstrong has the technical expertise to rebuild such a car, but even expertise has limits when key parts are unavailable. For example, the front end of the car, including the nose, bumper, and fascia, was severely damaged in the crash. These parts are made of expensive carbon fiber, custom molded to fit the car's exact design, and can only be supplied directly by Ferrari. Without these components, there is no way to continue the structural and aesthetic rebuild. Similarly, the hybrid system is intricate, with electric motors and battery packs that must work perfectly with the internal combustion engine. If any part of the system fails, it could compromise safety and functionality. While Matt has sourced many parts independently and collaborated with specialists, certain components are simply impossible to replicate or replace without Ferrari's official supply. This creates a paradox. The rebuild is physically possible, yet progress is stalled because the company that created the car controls the necessary parts. This illustrates a larger point about modern exotic cars. As technology becomes more advanced and proprietary, the ability of owners and independent rebuilders to repair or restore their vehicles diminishes. For enthusiasts, this raises questions about ownership and control. If a car cannot be repaired without the manufacturer's approval, does the owner truly have the freedom to maintain it? In Matt's case, this tension is made visible for millions of viewers. The rebuild, which could have been a celebration of skill and engineering, is now a story about dependency, corporate strategy, and the power dynamics between independent creators and global automotive giants. The situation also highlights broader industry practices that affect anyone interested in exotic car ownership or restoration. Ferrari is not the only company that controls parts and repairs so tightly. Other manufacturers, including Lamborghini, Bugatti, and McLaren, have similar policies, though the degree of control varies. These companies prioritize warranty repairs, dealerships, and official customers, leaving independent builders or salvage rebuilders at the bottom of the list. In practice, this means that thousands of crashed or salvaged hypercars may sit in storage for months or years, not because repair is impossible, but because obtaining parts is slow, expensive, or restricted. In Matt Armstrong's case, the delay is highly visible because it affects a popular rebuild project with millions of followers. But for the average exotic car owner, these challenges can be equally frustrating, even if they do not make headlines. The industry's approach to parts availability also has financial implications. Exotic car parts are often sold at prices far above manufacturing costs because they're controlled and scarce. A carbon fiber bumper, for example, may cost a few $1,000s to produce, but can be sold for several times that amount because no alternative suppliers exist. Lead times are deliberately extended to maintain control over repair options. This creates pressure on rebuilders and owners to either comply with manufacturer timelines, pay the premium, or abandon projects entirely. Matt Armstrong's experience exposes the intersection of content creation, automotive repair, and corporate strategy. While viewers are drawn to the drama of a rebuild paused by Ferrari, the underlying lesson is much larger. Independent builders, enthusiasts, and salvage owners face systemic barriers when attempting to restore or repair high-end exotic vehicles. These challenges are not technical alone. They are economic, strategic, and regulatory, shaped by how manufacturers control access to parts, software, and expertise. One of the most fascinating aspects of this story is the contrast between Matt Armstrong's persistence and Ferrari's corporate approach. Matt is an independent builder with technical skills, resources, and a massive audience that supports his work. Despite being told that the Ferrari 296 was unrepairable, he decided to take on the challenge. He sourced parts, collaborated with specialists, and carefully documented every step of the rebuild. This approach not only proved that the car could be repaired, but also created a narrative that resonated with millions of viewers worldwide. The drama and tension in his videos come not from ordinary mechanical problems, but from a larger power struggle. Ferrari, on the other hand, is a global corporation with a reputation to protect. By controlling parts, delaying delivery, and prioritizing official customers, the company maintains authority over who can repair or rebuild its vehicles. From Ferrari's perspective, allowing independent rebuilders to quickly source parts and complete projects could challenge the company's carefully curated brand image. They might fear that damaged vehicles repaired by outsiders could reflect poorly on their engineering or perceived exclusivity. This creates a tension that is visible in every frame of Matt's workshop. The car sits torn apart, the red engine bay exposed, and parts scattered across the workspace. Each day that passes without new parts arriving increases both anticipation for viewers and frustration for Matt. This dynamic is unique in the automotive world, particularly for content creators. The story becomes about more than just a rebuild. It becomes about patience, strategy, and proving that a determined individual can overcome the structural obstacles imposed by a multi-billion-dollar company. For the audience, this is compelling because it combines technical skill with suspense and corporate intrigue. Every Instagram update, video, or social media post creates another layer of engagement, keeping viewers invested even during periods when no mechanical progress is possible. Another layer of this story involves the technical complexity and rarity of the parts involved in the Ferrari 296 rebuild. Hypercars like the 296 are not simple machines. They combine advanced internal combustion engines with high-voltage electric motors, lithium-ion battery packs, and carbon fiber bodywork. Each component is specialized and often cannot be replaced with aftermarket alternatives. For example, the front fascia and nose of the car, which were damaged in the crash, are composed of custom carbon fiber panels that are both expensive and difficult to manufacture. Similarly, the 296 hybrid system requires precise integration between the internal combustion engine and electric components. Even minor mistakes in this system could compromise performance or safety. The challenge for Matt is that some of these components can only come directly from Ferrari. No third-party supplier produces replacements for the battery, electric motors, or complex carbon fiber body panels. This is why the project is effectively frozen. Even though the technical skill to repair the car exists, progress is entirely dependent on Ferrari's willingness and timeline for parts delivery. For independent rebuilders, this is a common reality. Unlike regular cars, where parts are accessible from multiple sources, exotic vehicles are tightly controlled. Owners and builders are forced to navigate a system where corporate priorities, not technical necessity, dictate what can be repaired and when. For Matt, this situation emphasizes not only the difficulty of the rebuild itself, but also the broader challenge of working outside official systems. He must balance workshop space, content creation, and financial resources, all while waiting for components that are beyond his control. For viewers, this technical complexity adds drama. Watching the rebuild progress in slow motion, with every component carefully documented, creates a sense of anticipation and appreciation for the level of expertise required to handle a car as advanced as a Ferrari 296. It also highlights a growing tension in the world of exotic cars. The more advanced and specialized a vehicle becomes, the more dependent its owner is on manufacturer control parts and support. Financial implications are another critical factor in understanding why the rebuild delay matters so much. Exotic car parts are notoriously expensive, and Ferrari is no exception. Components that cost a few $1,000s to produce can be sold for tens of thousands due to the scarcity and control imposed by the manufacturer. For example, the carbon fiber front bumper, nose, and other body panels alone could cost more than $25,000. Hybrid system components, including the electric motor modules and battery packs, may be even more expensive. When Matt orders these parts, he is prepared to pay, but the delay prevents him from recouping investment through content creation or eventual sale of the rebuilt car. Opportunity cost becomes a significant consideration. Each day that the rebuild sits idle is a day lost in filming progress videos, maintaining engagement with viewers, and producing revenue from sponsorships or monetized content. Workshop space is another hidden cost. Exotic cars require specialized tools, careful handling, and adequate space to ensure that rebuilds proceed safely and efficiently. When one project is stalled, it occupies a workspace that could otherwise be used for other rebuilds, restorations, or filming. This slows down other operations, creating additional financial strain and forcing careful planning of resources. Moreover, prolonged delays introduce the risk of additional work or complications. Components left idle may require reinspection or additional handling before work can resume. High-voltage hybrid systems may need recalibration, and fragile carbon fiber parts can deteriorate or warp if stored improperly. These technical risks increase the overall cost and complexity of the project. In short, Ferrari's delayed parts not only prevent the rebuild from progressing, but also amplify the financial and logistical burdens for Matt Armstrong. The project, which could have been a showcase of skill and creativity, now doubles as a case study in patience,